Hey guys. This is like so impromptu. Super impromptu moment, but I had to be obedient. So clearly God got something he want to say when he does me like this, when it's just so random, and before I know it, I'm out here doing what he's done said. So before I can move on to the next thing that I had on my list to do today, I'm gonna have to address this. So please share my live. I know that it's going to bless someone. Hey Shika, hey Kelly, hey Nanny. I know it's going to bless someone because it literally blessed me. So I just finished doing a podcast recording with a young lady, the Action Mom out of Florida. And so we just did our Zoom recording and our podcast recording. And so as soon as she releases that, I'll make sure to drop the link so you guys can get to see that. So of course, I'm always booked, busy, blessed, always doing something. And so as I was sharing on her podcast, God began to, thank you, Shika. God began to download into me. Hey, Giles. God began to download into me this topic, and I said, okay, God, I'll do whatever you say. Hey, Chantel. So please share my live. So anyway, we were on the podcast talking, and she was interviewing me, asking me all these different questions about purpose. How do I manage my time? How do I do all the things that I do, and just really diving in to who I am. And as she was talking, I heard God say, "Are you getting full on samples?" Are you getting full on samples? And one of the questions that she asked me, I don't even remember which one it was now, because when God starts to speak to me, he shuts down anything else that's talking. Like literally, it's like he turns, like in my ear gate, it's like he turns down the people that, hey Kimberly, that are talking, and all I hear is him. So as I'm talking, as he's talking, he said, "Are we getting full on samples?" And whatever the question was that she asked me, and I think it was something in relation to us serving. And God said, "Why do we keep wanting to get full on samples?" And, as I begin to think about that, and as I begin to think about people talking, I've had people reaching out to me, and thank you for those of you who are booking sessions with me and who are, my calendar is getting full again. And I'm so excited. I'm so humbled by that, and God really kind of challenged me in that area. Are you getting full on samples? And I said, that's the topic. Are we getting full on samples? And, I wanted to know, why do we do that? Like, why do we get full on the piece of things, like the little things, and we settle when God is trying to give us major corporations, or God is trying to give us full meals, and we just want to get the appetizer. And God's like, why you keep going for the appetizer? Why is it that people want to always settle for safe and just go for the littlest things, or the things that don't cost that much, or the things that don't look like it's going to take that much time? But we all want to be moguls, but we want to settle for the samples. We want to get full on the samples. And as I begin to think about samples and SAMs and the marketing idea behind that, the time that it takes for you to sample, to like eat those samples, when you walk around the store, do you ever notice that you find yourself hungry again? That the samples really never fulfill us? So why is it that we will settle for the sample and the substitute of a thing, when God's trying to give you the fulfillment of a thing? And, as I was sharing on the podcast with the Action Mom, I shared with them, with her audience, that, the person that decided, the reason that the the fast food industry is such a multi-billion-dollar industry, it is because somebody realized that people are quick to pay for something quick and easy. Because if you think about Harriet Tubman days, it wasn't no fast foods. There were diners, there were restaurants, but those were all things that required you to stop and sit and eat. There were not drive-throughs. There was no Starbucks. But there was somebody that realized that people's weaknesses were quick, fast, easy, cheap. And so what we'll do is we'll sample a thing and we'll sample people. And God's like, why do you keep sampling? Why do you keep sampling people that can't help you fulfill your destiny? Why do we keep being in these relationships and these friendships and these entanglements that everybody want to talk about with people that we know are not pushing us toward our destiny? I don't want to settle for another sample in this day. In Jesus' name, I don't want to settle for another sample of a relationship. I don't want to sample you, sir and ma'am. I don't. Either God is giving me the restaurant, I don't want it. I don't even want the meal if I can't be the owner. And it's like, I get sick of seeing us as believers, especially people that know God, that trust God, that has walked with God, settling for the sample of God. God is not to be sampled. He said, taste and see that I'm good, right? But some of us, that's all we want to do. We just want to taste, and half of us can't see. So we just continue to stay in this perpetual cycle, and we don't come out. I have people will ask in a minute, well, should I just book a consultation? No, why you just want to book a consultation with me when it's very clear that who God has called me to be is who you need to be attached to so you can stop sampling? Like, that don't even make sense. I'm not about... If I can sense the oil on a person and I know what they have in their bosom is what I need, in their belly is what I need. If they're pregnant with my purpose, no, I'm going to just need to go ahead and pay. I just need to sign up. I don't need to, entrepreneurs, you need to be sick of people sampling you. If people don't need, baby, you don't need to keep sampling me. Proof is in the pudding. See you at the top. Okay? Like, I'm at that level where I want to see our people win. You know, so many people are frustrated about COVID. Half of y'all needed COVID. So you could have got yourself together. Some of us we would still be talking about becoming when you should have came already. Like we would still be in that state. And it's like, when do you get tired of letting people just sample you? I don't want people just sampling me no more. And I just wondered, like, is anybody else frustrated like that? Is anybody else realizing that, you know what, I got ain't worth even sampling? It's not, I'm too potent for you to sample. I told clients, people that inquire, that reach out to me and say, hey, Lauren, I want you to be my coach. I want to work with you. Off top, just so you know, I will not take on a client if we cannot sign a contract of at least 6 sessions. That means if I can't be in your life for 3 months, I don't want to be in your life, period. I can't do 1 session. No. It's either I'm in your life for at least 3 months or I'm not. And as many clients as I have, there's not one person that I've been in their life for 3 months that I'm not still in their life and we passed 3 months. They trying to figure out where you thought you was going. Oh, you thought you was going somewhere? No, my life is changing. I can't go. I can't walk off. And you know, you get to that point where you got to start looking at, like, am I handing it? You know, and sometimes and you know, I say as entrepreneurs, but just as people, are you handing out samples? Sometimes people only sample you because that's all you handing out. But at some point, God is calling us in this season, stop handing out samples. Walmart don't hand out samples, Sam's do. There's a difference. Walmart hand out a bag, Sam's don't. You just got to pick your stuff up in bulk and just walk out. You ain't got no bag. You just got you in the box. It ain't no shade. But you just got to start looking at things differently sometimes and start realizing when the trick of the enemy is upon you, when the trick of an enemy is playing with you. And for me, in this season, when God dropped that in my spirit as I was sharing, in coaching, we do SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, relative, and time. That's a SMART goal. That's what makes up a SMART goal. And it's so funny to me that the word SMART is only 5 letters. 5 is the number of favor and grace. See, that's why you got to biblically know how God moves and what he's doing with why he's doing it. Is it smart enough for him to give you favor and grace? He ain't make it. Smart is just 5. 5. You look the number up biblically, it's just favor and grace. Are you smart enough to catch the goal? And so in this season, God is saying, I didn't call you, baby. I didn't call you to be nobody's sample. I didn't call you for that. Because see, when people go to the doctor, they don't say, well, I just wanted to sample the doctor. They don't no, they don't do that. When you call your doctor and you show up because you expect that they can heal you. You expect they can tell you what to do. You expect that they'll be able to help you. So why is it that when you go to your doctor, you go with a level of expectation, but when you go before God, you go with none and you want to sample him? But then you say you won't order. I have so many clients that people sit up here and, I just want to try to get my life in order. Good. What you willing to give up? Who you willing to leave behind in order to become who God's calling you to be? If you're not willing to say no to some things, then just say, I love dysfunction. I love that my life not where it's supposed to be. I love being in the wilderness. It kills me how, as believers, we're always so worried about not coming off too Christian-y. And if I come off too Christian-y, then that's just who I am. I'm not going to deny God so I can pretend to hang out with you and eat these samples. And then we both walk around. I'm like, oh, when we going to get to the meal? If we always sampling, and see, the thing about sampling that'll have you confused and crazy looking is that because it's so quick and easy to get, you don't even realize by the time you get home, now you extra hungry. Now you'll mess around and go and settle for a thing because you didn't quench you settled too quick. The counterfeit always shows up before the promise of God. Some of you are in the midst of a season that God has given you a promise. Don't settle for the counterfeit when the promise is there. The counterfeit always shows up before the promise of God. And if you ever got to put a but behind a person's name, then leave a but where you found them. Because when God gives you something, he gives you something exceedingly and abundantly. God don't give us cracked glasses or holes that's poked in shirts. He don't. So if you're trying to figure out, is it God or is it not? Is it a but? Is there an exception that has to be made? If there's an exception, then you probably need to leave a but where they at. That's what that means. And I want God's people to know that you no longer have to keep settling for samples. You have so many people that's talking about building wealth. Why aren't you building mental wealth? Why don't you have mental clarity? Why are you rich but stupid in your mind? See, I don't understand that. To me, that doesn't make any sense to me. You have all these people with these financial guru ideas that are so hell-bent on building wealth, but you're emotionally unavailable. Where they do that at? How you gonna build wealth but be emotionally unavailable? See, God gives us wealth in order to impact and to take his word further out. That's why you got the wealth. When God gives you something, that means he trusts you with a thing. Whether that's pain, whether that's finances, whether that's riches, whatever he gives you to manage is what he trusts you with. So for those of us, I don't want God to give me a thing and then I'm still emotionally unavailable. I can't even connect with the thing. That's like a person who's transparent but not vulnerable. I can tell you what happened, but I can't tell you how it made me feel. That's really trash. That's really trash. And so we got to get to a season where we get tired of people just sampling the best parts of us. And then they leave. Some people in your life was only there for the to-go plate. They didn't come to sit down. They thought you was Cane's. And that was it. And they in the drive-through mad that you're taking too long. Where they do that at? So in this season, as God is pushing you and propelling you forward, and if you are an entrepreneur or you are a person that God has given you something and it's time for you to start manifesting that thing, stop letting people sample you. If you can't look at me and see that I'm oily, then you just can't see. And who am I to sit here and try to make you believe that I'm something? Either you gonna see it or you don't. And sometimes just because people can't see you now don't mean they won't see you later. I tell people all the time, you'll be back. I don't have to chase people because I already know they're going to be back. I know what I carry. And when you know what you carry, you're no longer a plug, but you're a socket. I say that all the time. I'm nobody's plug because you're not going to maneuver me where I best fit for you. No, who God has called me to be for this is who I am. And that's that. I can't be moved unless you're going to bring an electrician out here and you're going to move this wall and you're going to move these wires. I can't be moved. No, I can't get off my post. No, I can't stop being who God's called me to be so you can pacify who you want to pretend to be. No, I can't. No, I can't do that. You see people all the time. I see people all the time on social media. This is my price. Correct. And stick to it. I have to tell my mama what is your price? Well, you said what you said, then sounds like the end to me. Why am I trying to negotiate you to come down on something? You got to watch people that always want to negotiate you to come down. I ask people, what's your price? And I'm going to pay it. Because I see value. When you see value in a thing, you invest in it. When you see value in a thing, you invest in it. You got so many people talking about what they want to do and how they going to do this. And they may want to attempt to invest. You know why? Because they will settle at the sample. They'll settle at the sample. Well, I did it one time. You want a cookie for that? Like, I don't give claps for showing up to the job that you applied for on time. Go above and beyond. And we got to get in the season, especially as Black folks, we live to sample. That was the best marketing scheme. Because we were the main ones let me taste it first and see if I'm going to like it. You know good well you're not healthy, and the doctor done told you about 5,000 times to stop eating that fish grease and chicken grease and frying this and that. Just go get the greenery that he told you to get and start drinking that and detoxing. Stop playing with me. Stop telling me that you want to be physically fit and mentally stupid. Because that's what it is. And you got so many people that are okay with that. And then when they're depleted, now you mad. Now it's my fault. How is my fault? It's not my fault. When I decided that God, whoever you're calling me to be, I'm going to be, I meant that. I meant that for real. So no, I don't have time to let people sample me. So when people like, I know you got a whole bunch of people in your inbox, but to do what? I know not to do where you was going with that. Let me oblige you real quick. I'm not here for samples. I'm here for breakthroughs. I'm not here for samples. Jesus said taste and see, not me. Because I already know what's placed in me. And so when you are rest assured about who God has called you to be, and when you know who God has called you to be, you walk in that authority and that confidence and that boldness. The same expectation that you have when you walk into the doctor's office because you believe that he can heal you or tell you what's wrong or give you insight. Why not have that same expectation for God? When God told you to launch into the deep, then you launch into the deep. It don't matter what it looks like. He just said, go. Why are you assessing? You want to sample first. God, can I sample it? Why? When God told me I had a prophetic anointing on my life, people just had to start catching it. Whoever he told me I had to start speaking into, I just had to I didn't have time for somebody to tell me, I don't need you to tell me what's already been downloaded in me, boo-boo. I spend my time with God. God gets my time. That's why I don't have time for people to sample me. Because I know that I spent time in the kitchen cooking this thing up. This ain't McDonald's. This a restaurant. This a steakhouse. See, when you got to know what you carry, when you don't know what you carry, you'll carry anything. People be like, you got fries? No, you ain't got fries. But when you don't know who you are, you start carrying anything. You got 2x4s. This is Kroger's. No, I ain't got 2x4s. But when you don't know who you are, you start carrying anything. And then people want to put samples of different things in because they want to see what people going to gravitate towards you. No, you put out what God called you to, but because the people that are assigned to you are going to gravitate to you. I don't care how many people are doing the same thing you're doing. I don't compete because I don't allow other people's tempo to affect my productivity. That's why I don't compete with other people. That's what makes me a mogul. It's because I don't compete, because I don't need your energy to taint my productivity. Whoever God has called me to be, I got to be focused on that. I've got to be diligent about that. And if you're not diligent about that, can't roll with me. I get sick of hearing people say, you know what, I really need to start getting it together. When the heck does getting it together start? Is there a date? Like, is that a festival? Is that a holiday you gonna start getting it? Like, is that Christmas? When is the start date of you getting it together? Like, I never did understand people like, I'm gonna get together. Oh, so you're just not gonna do nothing. Just say you like dysfunction. Like, I would prefer you. I like being dysfunctional. At least at that point, we know how to deal with you. Instead of buying your lies and you pretending like you trying to become somebody that you're not. Call me when you tired of being depleted. Book your session when you tired of being depleted. How about that? That's how I feel about it. Because at the end of the day, people that want it, that want to go hard, they will do what it takes. Becoming the greatest version of yourself means that you're going to have to die to the version of you that can't stay. The thing about a seed is that you never know the fruit that it bears until it begins to stem up. A seed dies first in the germination process. The first thing that happens to a seed when you plant it is that it dies. It dies first. And then it's up to the soil and the things, the environment that's around it to produce it into the fruit that it bears and into the productivity that you get to eat. So sometimes, when you are around the wrong people and you got that stuff in your soil, that's why you're not growing. You're not growing because some of us got too, like my grandma would say, thraka. Some of us got too much thraka. And that's why we're not growing. It's not the right type of manure. It's levels to this. When people say it's levels to this, it's really levels to this. Are you willing to not spend money on foolishness so you can invest in your business? If your business is not thriving, have you gotten yourself with a coach or a marketer or put some money behind your brand? How are you asking people to put money behind a brand that you won't put money behind? That don't make sense to me. I'm not going to put money behind a brand that I'm not going to, like, how am I supporting you? I can't support that. I can't support that. And that's what we don't realize. And we're looking and we're letting people just sample us. Just come get this sample. At least, and it's so sad because when you just let people sample you, it's almost like saying, I just want to, see if I'm still desired. I don't want your claps more than I want God's praise. That's the season I'm at. I don't want the clap of people more than I want the praises of God. It's only him that I'm doing all this for. That's it. It's a wrap. And so at the end of it all, when I leave this earth, I think about, what do I want my boys to say their mama was? What do I want them to say about me when I'm gone? That's a part of this. Mama's show was broken, and that's why I'm emotionally unavailable in all my relationships, because mama was. Is that what y'all want people saying about you? Mama always had dreams, but she never did attain them. Daddy always had dreams, but he never went after them. He could have been. How many of y'all daddies could have been? We got a lot of could have been parents. They could have been, but why they weren't? sacrifice, discipline, consistency. That's why. At some point, you got to get tired of just being the best sample out of the bunch. And when we stop handing people samples, they'll stop expecting pieces of us. I had to stop handing out samples of myself to people a long time ago. Had to stop it. I had to stop it. And so at some point in life, you got to get tired of doing it too. And when you stop handing out samples, people will pay your price because they realize that you ain't for everybody. And when you realize that you ain't for everybody, that there's a special area that has your name on it, you will thrive and operate in that area alone. And then become the mogul. Then become the level of success you desire to be. But you can't become that if you're looking for the world to label you more than what God has created you to be. When he birthed you, he created you for a reason and a season and there's a thing for you to impact. But we get so distracted by all these outside forces that we don't spend any of our time focusing on why did God choose you for this strategy? Because he trusted you. He trusted you. He trusted me to be a midwife. That's why he made me one. He trusted me to help people transition into their purpose. That's why he gave me lives of people that I can help. There are tons of coaches that you can choose from. Tons. Go on Instagram and hashtag coaches. Tons of them. That didn't stop me from becoming one. There's a place in the earth with my name on it. There's ears that are dying to hear my voice. There's something about my voice that's going to break the chains off of someone else's life. That can't nobody else do that thing like me. That's why I don't compete. That's why I can clap for those, share their posts, comment, girl, you doing good. King, I see you. Because I'm not inferior to anyone. I know that there is a designated place for Lauren. And as long as I know that, I'm not spending my time trying to hand out samples, hoping to bait you in to buying me. Either you saw my value when you passed me or you didn't. Either way is fine with me. Either way is fine with me. The oil that's on my life ain't for everybody. I'm okay with that. Why aren't you okay with that? Some of us are so busy with trying to make sure we post a status that make people like it. I don't really care. If it's just for one, God said he married to the backslider. It was just for one. That's how I see it. If what I had to do was for one, then it was just for one. If sharing my truth was just for one, it was just for one. That's what he trusted me with. I'm not worried about if you're going to like it and if you're going to share it and if you're going to. I mean, I'll ask you to, and if you don't, if you're disobedient and you don't do it, then that's on you. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Because God's word will always go forth. It will always go forth. But I had to be obedient. After doing a 2-hour session with her on 2 different podcastings, this woman found me on Instagram from Florida and said, I followed your page. And when I looked and clicked on your page, I knew I needed to connect to you. Some people are looking for you, but they can't find you because you're too busy hiding behind the trees. You hiding behind other people. You hiding behind your pain and your brokenness and what they gonna think if I'm the one that starts speaking out. Maybe they gonna think Jesus is real because they remember how jacked up you were. That's what people need to think about me like, girl, Jesus is really real because I remember when Lauren was in the Word. I mean, what you think? People are looking for you. If all of my pages were not public, she may not have never found me. All my pages are public because I ain't got nothing to hide. Get it how you live. This all I got. This is who I am. Take it, leave it. Like, that's it. I'm not doing a magic show or anything else for anybody else. Right? And so when you get that comfortable with yourself, then you can really be used by God. when you're that comfortable with you and who you are and who you are not and who you never gonna be again. So a lot of us, God is calling us to do so much more. The reason our stay at home is extended is because half of y'all wasn't listening the first round. That's why. When the same tests keep coming up, that means you failed the first time and the second time and the third time. And however many other times you send the same test. So at some point, you got to get tired of letting people just sample you. You're not a marketing scheme. You are a life strategy. You are God's strategy. How about that? You're not a marketing strategy. You are God's strategy. And when you realize that you are God's strategy, you'll stop settling for safe. You'll stop, rationing yourself to people, trying to give them more in they plates than what they really came to eat. You'll stop doing those things. You'll stop handing out your pieces to people that only wanted, just a bit of you. They didn't want you. They wanted the use of you. And when you ran out like them batteries, they was gone. You gotta start seeing yourself different. God has not called us to be samplers. He's called us to impact. So I'm telling you that whoever God is calling you to be, whoever God is calling you to become, this is your time. Use it wisely. Has sampling ever been smart? Just trying to figure out. Has it ever been that's not a smart goal, right? It's not a smart goal. You don't go to Sam's to eat the samples. You go to Sam's because you want to shop and you want to buy things in bulk. So you ain't got to keep coming back to the store every week. That's why. That's why you're doing those things. That's why you're doing those things. So share my live. I pray that you're blessed. Garnett, I see you on here. And Garnett, God said the promise that he gave you was still yea and amen. I don't know what that means to you, but there's a promise that God gave you concerning ministry. And God said, and it's something dealing with your dance. God said that that's not dead. And that whatever that promise is that he gave you, that he has not changed his thought about that. I know the enemy is trying to tell you, and your age and you this and you that. He's got a lot of reasons and why it can't be. But God said, but it is so. It is so. You're still a voice. You're not voiceless. So that was for you. But I bless God for allowing me to be the person that he uses to tell people, you're not a sample. You're greater than what you have ever settled for. You settled. God didn't. His promises are still yea and amen, but you settled. And if you ever settle, you'll never be settled. If you got to put a but behind anything, that is the key to knowing that you need to leave it where you found it. Because when God gives you something, he never gives you anything half cooked, half done, half made, ever. Ever. He said, I've never seen the righteous forsaken or my seed begging bread. Why? Because he ain't giving out samples. That's why. You giving out samples because you're trying to attract instead of attack the thing God has called you to impact. I'm not trying to attract you. I'm trying to attack the thing that's trying to tell you that you can't do, that you won't be, that no, you're going to always be that size. Or, you never going to get healthy. Oh, you thought you could do that? Why? No, that's who I'm coming to help you attack. The evil thoughts in your mind that you tell yourself, that you a lot of times discount yourself. Shaterika, God said, stop discounting yourself. Who I called you to be is who you are. There ain't a but. There's no other option. This is the only option. And until you walk it, you will never be fulfilled. You'll always be sampling. The thing about samples is you always got to come back for more. That's the thing about samples. You always got to come back for more. It's the same thing about fast food. If you eat it at 3, you're going to be hungry by 6. You always got to come back for more. When do we get tired of that? God, I'm in a season that I don't want to keep coming back for more samples. I want you to fill me up one time and then let me overflow. That's the season that we should be in. Some of us are trying to trap people. Let me trap you into being with me. I don't want to trap you. I'm not trying to trap you. I'm trying to impact you. I'm trying to call those things that are on you off you. I'm trying to show you that greater is he that's in you, that you stop settling. Why are you afraid? Why are you still working that job that God has already called you to leave? God's trying to give you an empire, but you're settling for additional income. Why? What are we wait? What are you waiting on? Some of us are just waiting on nothing. And we keep lying to ourselves. And we keep telling ourselves, well, whenever I get this. Okay, so when you gonna get that if you ain't even started with this? Like, that doesn't even make sense. A lot of us have a lot of hopes, no goals. And we sell people them too. We tell people, oh yeah, because I hope I'm gonna get everything. If you got numbers on that, then you ain't got no goal. Like, if you don't have a number attached, you don't have a goal. You don't have to settle for one thing. There's people, Colette, that are going to keep trying to box you. Colette, you can't be boxed. And a lot of people don't understand your grind. Some of them are almost irritated by the way that you position yourself. God said, continue to position yourself. See, the thing is, what people don't realize about football, and which is one of my favorite sports. I shared this earlier on the podcast, that when a quarterback throws the ball, people aren't really, the ball is just the direction. Who they're trying to stop is the person. It's the wide receiver. That's who they're trying to stop. They're not trying to stop the ball, because if you miss the ball, it's already stopped. So all they need to do is stop you. So the ball is giving people the direction. It tells the enemy the direction in which to run. I threw it to the left, right? I threw it to the left. So he's just giving out the direction. But the big thing in all of this is that the enemy wants to stop you. That's what he cares about stopping. He don't care about stopping the ball. So that's why, no, you grind the way you grind, because guess what? Somebody's life is going to be, somebody going to need to meet you, Colette. Because there's going to be a life that they needed to connect to you because you had the connection that they were missing. But if you didn't post your post, if you didn't share your story, if you didn't tell people how maybe you were insecure about this, and for a while you was worried about this real estate thing because you ain't really seen that growing up. So what made you think you should be the one doing it? But see, the thing about God is he calls the unlikely, because he's constantly trying to prove to us that you don't have to be perfect, just coachable. I tell people all the time, I'm not perfect, but I'm coachable. I didn't run my best time today, but you won't beat me trying. You won't beat me getting out there. You're not going to find nobody with more heart than me. You may grind, but you ain't going to outgrind me. You may get to the finish line before me, but you'll never see me stop. So you got to start having mindsets about things, because you'll start telling yourself things and you'll start, like keeping yourself back. You'll become your own defense. God say, that's not what you playing. You on offense, because it's offense that makes the scores. So you continue to do what you are doing. You continue to push. And every single time the enemy says, Colette, that idea don't even go. Oh, that's exactly where you need to go. See, my businesses look like my values. Every business that I have, which at this point, I think I'm up to 7. Every last one of them, I have a pain connected to it that fuels it. Every one of them, from finance to my books, my writings, my coaching, everything that I do, I have a pain that is attached to that victory. So my values, my relationships look like what I value. That's why I don't connect to everybody, because everybody don't look like my values, right? So you got to be careful about that. You just be cautious and begin to realize that who God is calling you to be, and what he put in you, he put it in there for a reason. If you are the most unlikely person to do it, that means you're going to be the most successful one to get it done. That's what that means. It does not mean give up and go sit in the corner with the other waddling group that's complaining about why they still ain't got no house. She helping all these other people, but I still ain't got. You know why you ain't got? What your faith say? Your faith is why you don't have. Some of us, our faith is the issue. We got too little of it. And God is calling us for higher, because he doesn't want us sampling him. He doesn't want us sampling him anymore. Set your price. Know what you carry. Walk in it with authority and confidence. And be okay with who he's calling you to be. Step out of your norm. If you want to know what millionaires are doing, follow some of them. They all on social media. Follow. Read a book. Are you reading? I'm a writer and I still read. My third book pre-orders August. I'm reading my second book right now on forgiveness, because I'm going to make sure that this temple is all the way right, because I know I got a lot of miles to run. One thing you learn about running and exercise is that if you don't properly prepare your body with the right fuel, you'll never be able to win the race or even run it. That's why you hydrate before you run. You don't drink alcohol and then go run. You ain't going to go far. You hydrate. You put cucumbers and watermelon and mint leaves and things like that, and pineapples and a fruit into your water, and you hydrate before you run, because you want to have enough fuel to finish the race. Who wants to start a race and lose in lap 1? Unless you're sprinting. You got to properly prepare for these things. And a lot of us are saying that we want to be prepared and we want to do this and we want to do that, but we have not prepared ourselves to win. Some of us are not prepared to win. I follow who I desire to become. I follow who I desire to become. I don't hang with people that's always talking about what they can't do. They drain me. I can't hang with people that got all kind of purpose and they don't activate it. They drive me. I can't. I can't do it. Who I'm called to be, I don't have fear. Fear can't afford my destiny. It's too rich. It's too wealthy for it. It appraises at a value that I'm not willing to negotiate my sales price on. And so when you have that type of tenacity about who God is calling you to be, you will stop giving out your free time. You will free your time for things that are worth it, and not just give up free time hoping that it attracts people. That's what you will do. When you start doing that, it changes your appetite. It changes the course in which you move. It changes the way in which you deal with people. When you work on you, you can't be the greatest version of yourself operating in the dead version of yourself. You can't. And so I always ask my clients, first date, what are you willing to say no to? What is it that's not fueling you? What are you willing to say no to? What does your fairy tale lifestyle look like? How close are you to living it? If you're not, what are the obstacles that keep you from crossing the bridge to success? Those are all great questions. Many of us, it's just our stinky thinking. That's all. Ain't nobody gonna pay that kind of money. They not. Because you just said it. Ain't nobody gonna spend that kind of time with me. They not. Because they don't even know the value of it. You haven't even shown them. Some of y'all are sitting on businesses, Jaquel, You sitting on businesses. God said, it's time to go forward. And anytime we try to get a substitute to a thing, the thing about God, and when he gives us something and we get disobedient, he'll allow a substitute to come in. And then we sit there and we critique it. I could have did, well, why didn't you? I could have had, well, why don't you? Why don't you? Why didn't you? You could have, why didn't you? I don't understand. You mean you didn't realize your capability until he sat you down? Sometimes that's a whole word. Sometimes God got to sit you down just so you to realize what your capabilities always were. Because we're so busy trying to be busy. Why? If it's not productive. I don't want that. Everything that I do aligns with my values. Everything that I do aligns with my values. Why are we afraid to connect with people that look like or model who we are wanting to be? Why? Why are we afraid to connect to those people? I connect to people on social media all the time. Some people I have never met. The girl that interviewed me today, I've never met her. I probably will never meet her, ever. But something I posted, she saw, started following. People all over Florida area will know me, all because I posted something. She followed. She saw the oil on my life and said, I need to be connected to this woman of God. I need to be connected to you. Some of us, people need to be connected to you, but they need to first know that you got some energy behind your socket. Because don't nobody want to plug into a dead socket. Then those are facts. If your socket is broken, that's why people not plugging. You're not showing them that you're a source. Some of you have so many gifts God has placed in you, and you're sitting there on those gifts, not doing it. You got all kind of reasons that you can complain and say, oh, well, because of this, because of my age, I done got too old. Well, you're not dead. If you're not dead, you're not too old. I'm never going to retire. I told somebody the other day, they said, I'm going to be retired. I'm never going to retire. I don't have money to take time off for balance. I'm never going to retire. Ever. I'm going to die working the work. Because when you do purpose work, it's not work. It's your design. That's like me trying to work to be a black woman. Every day I wake up, I'm a black woman. Nothing, no matter how many prayers I pray, I'm not going to become an Asian woman. I'm going to always wake up a black woman. So at the end of the day, who I am, who God's calling me to be, who God has destined me to be, who he's anointed me to be, is who I'm going to always be. So I'll never stop working. Because to me, it's not work, it's impact. When we change our mindsets about things, then we allow God to really do the work. Some of us retire from our comfort zones. Let's do that. Let's retire the comfort zones. Why people don't never want to retire their comfort zones? We want to retire everything else but your comfort zone. I don't get it. I don't get that. We always quick to settle, but last to work. Quick to settle, but last to work. Why? Do you want it as bad as you said you want it? Or are you just fine handing out your samples? I've never seen a sample make you rich. But I sure seen samples make you broke. Those are just facts. So God gave me that. I told him I would not move out of my seat. I would not go and move on to the next thing on my agenda for the night until I told his people what he wanted them to hear. So I will drop my link if you decide that you do want to connect with me, or you want to know how to connect with me. Share the live. I know it's going to bless somebody, because when he gives me stuff in the midst of me doing something else and he turns my hearing down like that, I already know somebody's life just done got their whole life. So I pray that it blesses you and that it helps to take you to the next level. Connect. It's time to manifest. It's not time to wallow. Connect to the people that God is calling you to connect to, because you never know what source they have. and who you'll become by connecting to them. So I love you guys. Have an amazing night. And I will see you guys on Thursday night with Carlton Falconer, another connection out of Philadelphia. I only been to Philadelphia once, and I was there on a red eye, just in and out. And anyway, I was able to connect with Carlton Falconer out of Philly, and so we're gonna be doing our live this Thursday night on Facebook. So I cannot wait for you guys to be a part of our conversation, because I know it's gonna be good. So I love you guys. Colette, you be blessed. Be blessed. I love you, and y'all continue to walk in your purpose on purpose. Good night.